Hi. If this is finding you, it's for a reason. I have an intention for this to go out to people who might be feeling a little bit lost right now with what's going on in the world, and also having a sense within themselves that they're not seeing the point of things. There's the feeling of giving up. What is this for? What's the world come to? Things like that. And it is a sign if you got this video because literally YouTube is not sending out my videos to anybody right now. So the fact that this is showing up on your feed, this message is for you. What I'm going to go through today is why you're feeling the way that you're feeling, the old systems that we were in, and the conditioning that we all went through to explain how we got to this point today, why it is that you're waking up within that system, and that's why you're feeling that huge disconnect, like you're in a bad dream and nothing makes sense anymore. The choice point we're coming to, where we're going to be at a crossroads, and how to navigate these times to come. So trust me, you are not crazy. You are not the only one feeling this. There is a lot of people who have that feeling of just not quite right. And hopefully, after watching this, you'll have some words and some explanations that will help you explain why you're feeling the way you're feeling. So if you're new to this channel, like most of you would be, my name is Jose Lindsay, and this is Heartful. The reason I called it Heartful is playing with the word mindful. This is where I look into a heart-centered approach to life. So let's begin. In order to figure out why you're feeling what you're feeling in the world today, we have to go back. And I will include also the things going on in the world, like wars and what's going on, especially in the States right now, with authority overstepping their bounds and being a menace to society. But how we got there is really important. A society doesn't go to a point of this extreme right away. It starts at the very beginning. So we're going to go through what you've been through childhood and why it worked for a while, why it doesn't work anymore. So I'm going to use the help of my little whiteboard here to illustrate what's going on. Okay, so this is you. This is what I called conditioned powerlessness. Okay, you were taught and conditioned, programmed to be powerless. And this is how it started. There was many ways where they got you to give away your power. So there was a religion where, depending on the religion you're in, you're baptized at birth, or it starts pretty much from when you're born. And you're told that you're a sinner, you have no power, and your salvation is always through somebody else, either through a priest or some entity that is not within yourself. And you constantly have to repent your sins, you're a sinner, and you have no power yourself, and a lot more. But that's basically the premise. Then we have education. So from a small child, you went through the school and education system. If you really look at the education system, it's not really for you to become creative and invent new things and discover the person who you are and why you're here on earth. It's mostly to continue compliance, for you to learn authority, for you to learn that the history that they want you to learn, for you to fall in line, for you to ask permission to pee, for you to ask permission and not ask questions, and also to determine the Monday to Friday, working full days, asking for breaks, determine lunch hours. And Rockefeller, who was instrumental in starting the education system, was quoted as saying, "I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers." So education was built around that to send you off to factories. Now it's built to send you off to the college and university system, and then jobs from there. And then you get a job. You are trained from school to go to higher learning so that you can go get a job. You are trained and conditioned to be a worker, to go work for somebody else. Even if it's Wall Street and you're making six figures, it doesn't matter. You're working for somebody else. So you're going to work in a factory. You're going to work It's now white collar with higher pays, but you're still working for somebody else. And then from that job, there is a debt system. The debt system starts very early for you to pay for your education. You're going to pay $50,000, $60,000 a year. You're going to go in debt for that. And that debt is going to follow you for a lifetime. And then the dream is to buy a house. You're going to go into a 25 or 30-year mortgage, and now they're pushing 50-year mortgages. And that way you get to pay your house 2, 3, 4, 5 times the value, and the bank takes all of your money. And you can never actually leave your job, because if you leave your job, you won't be able to pay your student loans or the house that you're going to pay for 3, 4, or 5 times. So right now I'm explaining the system that you've been in, the system that has been said as normal, okay, following everybody else. This is what you've been doing since birth. And your eyes were closed, okay? And now you're just opening your eyes to these systems. And that's why it's starting to feel like, hey, wait a second, what is this? Okay, so I'm just going to name off a few more. So there's the debt system. Then we have the medical system. I will keep it brief, but it is not for your health. This is disease care. The medical system does not want to cure anything. They do research so that they can fund pharmaceutical companies. Pharmaceutical companies make drugs that give a lot of side effects. Their intention is to make sure that you're on a drug for life and that you're a customer for life, a patient for life, feeding their hospitals and all of their care. For food, from a young age, you've been eating, especially young people, foods that have been doused with chemicals and then eating processed foods. And this will poison you just enough to feed the medical system and the pharmaceuticals. And this goes on and on and on with these systems that feed themselves, and to make sure that you never leave this job. And by the way, yes, you can have freedom, but when you're 65 and super tired and you're going to be working all of the time. And the reason that you're like now, when you're working all of the time, you have no time off, vacation is less and less, the pace is quicker and quicker, and you have less and less. So now why people are like, this doesn't work anymore, because in our parents' time, you could have a house, you could have a life, you had time off, and your work didn't follow you home with all of the technology. Now you're working more and more, and you can't afford a house, you have no pension, you're not going anywhere, and there's not really many retirements. And basically you have to do this until you die, and you can't get out of these systems. And while we're here, let's talk about the business of war. So all of these systems are also based on fear, the fear of scarcity, the fear that if you don't do these systems, you will be left behind. In war, what you're witnessing now, there used to be valid reasons for war, where at least a government would tell you a reason why they're going for war, and everybody agreed, and they knew they needed a reason to tell you, the public, why they were going to war. And now today, as you're seeing in the US, the reason doesn't really matter. They're just going to war. They'll tell you it's for this reason, then they change their mind. It's for this reason, then they change their mind. It's for this reason. A few reasons people go to war is they go get their resources. They change the power in place because they don't like the power that's in there now, and to take over. And also war itself is a multi-billion, if not trillion-dollar industry. That's a whole other thing, but war is very much in the cycle of the systems, and these are all controlled, including going to war. And when you go to war, this is where they can put a whole bunch of laws to control you further. So I wouldn't be surprised if things keep getting worse and worse and worse, and then, we all need a digital ID for our own safety, and the war is for our own safety, but meanwhile, it's for more and more control. So you are at home right now and you're feeling this, like, I'm working so hard, I'm so tired, I'm exhausted. When I turn on the TV, I see this war stuff. I'm sick, or I hope I don't get sick, because if you're in the States, I can't afford to go see a doctor, or this person's dying of cancer, everybody around me getting cancer. What is this world coming to? Don't feel bad, because this is the system that's been coming at you and telling you that you have no power since the very beginning. And I just heard a quote from a show I was watching. If you condition a child, you don't have to fight an adult. Okay. So these have been systems that you've heard of since a child. And that's why when you start opening your eyes in the system, I did many, many years ago, about 15 years ago, you start to feel really, really lost and you can't find the meaning of life. And before you find a good path, there's always a gap in the middle. And what's happening now, it sounds a little woo-woo, but there's a lot of energies changing. There's a lot of positive energy. There's a lot of light hitting the planet from the sun and a lot of activity from the sun. And humanity's consciousness is going up. Because even if you're not in the woo-woo spiritual world or anything like that, but you're seeing these systems, you're awakening. Your consciousness is rising. Because when your consciousness rise, you no longer want to be controlled. You open your eyes and you start seeing these systems. So you don't have to be in a cave or a monk, meditating all the time to start rising your consciousness, to start realizing that because everything you've been fed, you'll also realize that the division between the people so that it could be controlled, this skin color versus this color, red versus blue. Keep the fighting, keep the chaos going within the people so that you can be controlled more and so that they can just keep the blinders on and keep going with their crazy stuff. You're starting to see, it's like, why are we fighting? Like, why are we attacking each other? That doesn't make sense either. As your consciousness goes up, you're getting a heart-centered approach. You're getting a heart-centered activation, if you will. And that's what's starting to come into play, even if you have no words for it. But you're going to start noticing that everybody's starting to post videos about those things. Like, am I the only one? Like, I am just not feeling any of this is right. Like, what are we doing here? That's what's going on, a change in consciousness. So I'm going to erase this and I'm going to show you why it's not feeling well, because I'll show you the truth about who you are. So I'm just going to erase this. Okay, so I pre-wrote them here. If you want a full video on who you actually are, the last video, I'll put it in the notes, is the biggest lie you've ever been told who you truly are. And I go and do the whole video on who you really are. I'm going to touch on it briefly. Basically, you are a sovereign, super powerful being. You always have been, and they've had to keep this and you in the dark, because if you knew how powerful you are, you would have never been compliant and you wouldn't have followed all these rules. And that's why there was so much effort in the old systems stacked on top of each other to make sure that you never awoke and never realized who you are. But you are connected. You always have been. You are part of a greater consciousness. Consciousness is in everything. It's in you, it's in trees, it's in the stars, the sun, it's in everything, and you're a part of it, and we're all connected. And yes, we are all one. There's great power that lies in that. Also, you were born with gifts, passions. You were not supposed to just pick a topic in school out of the 6 or 8 and figure out where the job market is and go do that. No, you were born with specific passions that are innate to you, that's what you're on the planet Earth to do. And also, when we're going on passion and gifts, the difference also is that we were taught individually, me, myself, and I, make your job, do your house. It's like eat or be eaten sort of thing. Nothing could be further from the truth. Usually your gifts and passions is always to help a collective, help other people. You could be good with your hands, creating something that's always good for others. For example, I like communicating. I tend to be able to absorb a lot of topics in spirituality and just observations in society and being able to break them down. And why would I keep that to myself? I'm sharing it with you in case it's helpful to you. I'm not selling you anything. I have no email lists. I am doing this just because I'm called to help other people that felt like I did, and just trying to help you navigate these times, okay? The next part is you're creative. You're going to create something that doesn't exist, and often when we're all together, there's some kind of exchange. You're doing this to help humanity in that way. I've got different gifts I'm helping over here. And then those gifts are exchanged and create a system of value, not this fake monetary, fake money. The money we're using today is no more worth than monopoly money. It's actually the same. You're just told that that's the value it is and that you have to work your entire life to go make more of it. When in the US, for sure, they're printing money and it's not backed by anything. It's the fiat system, right? It's not backed by gold or resources. It's literally monopoly money. And you have to go work your ass off to go make monopoly money. And that's actually the truth. So also the body is not this mechanical thing like this desk. They treat the body like this desk. You break a leg and get a saw out, cut out the rest of it and put a new leg in. And that's how they're treating the body, as if it's just this mechanical robot. Exchange some parts, cut it out, give it some medication. That the body is an intricate system that's energetic and that can heal, that runs on frequencies, energies. And it's a sophisticated system. And yes, you could heal yourself from thoughts, but most of us aren't there. But you could certainly heal your body through natural remedies and with knowledge to heal yourself for sure. In order to heal yourself, you also have to stop putting all the crap that they're feeding you in that body, but that's another thing. And here, when we're talking about healing, we're never taught to grow our own food or to even live in places where you can grow your food. But that really goes into healing the body is also what you consume, to grow it yourself, to be more independent. And also when we're talking about growing food, it's often like we used to live in communities. And communities is the connection. We're connected beings. We're supposed to live in community. And like I said about our gifts, is you're doing that, I'm good at that. We have communal gardens, we all figure it out, and we help each other. That's what we're made to do. And guess what happened to communities that were living like this? Indigenous communities, they're the ones that had it right. They're the ones that never sold land. Land wasn't anything that you sold. They were stewards of earth. They took care of the earth. They lived in community. They all had different gifts and different responsibilities, and they honored each other and honored the planet. What happened to those indigenous people? Well, most of them were killed in masses, and the ones that were left were sent, well, in Canada, in schools up north to get the savage out of them and to be taught by, in our case, religious groups that were very brutal, and they died up there as well, and they were neglected and abused. So even the communities, the cultures, the indigenous people that were living the life that is now the new earth, that's what's coming now again, they weren't able to do that. So this is what you're feeling too. This is what you're feeling. This is what you're feeling is waking up within you, heart-centered, all of these things. And you're looking out and looking at the system, the old system that I showed you. That is why you're feeling the disconnection between an old system and a new system. And right now we're the in between. The old one is starting to fall apart. You can see it's starting to fall apart because it's grasping more and more and more. You're going to see even crazier stuff in 2026. And we're at a crossroads. And this is a decision point. And you're like, well, Jose, what's going to win? The old system or the new earth where we're going back to how indigenous used to do it? And I'm not saying, by the way, that we're going to go back and live in teepees and go back thousands of years or even just hundreds of years. I'm just saying that you can live in a developed world, but share the same concepts as what the indigenous used to do. And when you're at a crossroads and you're like, which system is going to win? The old system or the new earth that's more heart-centered? It's the one that you feed. You have to remember at this time, you're seeing the possibility of both worlds. And I heard this saying as well. It says, your attention is the currency that builds realities. Your attention is the currency that builds realities. Where is your attention? What are you focusing on? It's okay to look at the news to stay informed. I look at the highlights only. I don't go in it. I try not to discuss it, and I don't watch it over and over and over. I know what's going on enough in the world. Most of my time is the focus on the world I want to live in. So when I hear that news, I sometimes close my eyes and I'm like, well, what do I want? So if I see, war, I'm thinking of a peaceful world where everybody gets along, where everybody is ignited, where everybody knows who they are, where when you look at another person, you see yourself, right? So that's what I'm thinking of. And I'm thinking of those systems as well, where as opposed to a job and you're working till you're 65, that world doesn't exist yet, but I'm like, wow, I just have a sense, a feeling of it where everybody is doing what they're meant to do on this planet, and there's a form of exchange that follows that, and everybody can live comfortably doing what they love, and they come in community. So when looking at the news, be careful of your reactions. You want to observe what's going on and use discernment. Don't just buy the reasons that they're telling you what's going on. You're going to see more and more as things get just at a crazy, exaggerated level. You're going to see the world stage like in a theater. You're going to see what's going on in the theater and the puppets that are causing these things. And then you're also going to start seeing the strings. Okay? So you're going to start looking at what's going on in the world exactly as that, as this puppet theater with the strings. And it's not that it's laughable, because a lot of it is serious, but it is so insane in that the top very little think that we're going to stay asleep forever and they're going to control us. It's like their time's up. And when you want to go against this system, or if you want to go to a rally, just remember what Mother Teresa said, something like, I will never go to an anti-war rally, but invite me to a peace rally and I'll be there. So if you want to show up and say, hey, enough's enough, just be careful. You can show up even if it's an anti-something, but the sign that you carry, make it for the thing that you want for peace. Don't go and have Trump things and decapitate the Trump thing and like go against Trump. Go for the things that you believe in. When you're in a crowd and you're standing up for the things that you believe in. You are being the light in that crowd. You are being a lighthouse where you are. When you're going to work, when you're in your house, calm presence, being a lighthouse, being the light that you want to bring here. When we talk about a great awakening, you are awakening. Your consciousness is rising. This is a collective remembering of who you really are and who we really are. And unfortunately, it's taking these horrific, crazy events for us to get to this point. But we are getting to this point. This is reminding us who we really are. So people always talk about the great awakening, or we're ascending, and people in the spiritual community, are meditating more so that they can ascend this crazy stuff, and us, guru-like people here, and they're going to ascend above us. This is not what the times are calling for. The times are calling for us here on earth, here, now, to embody the new earth. You are embodying the love. You are embodying the light. You are bringing it here through your eyes, through your hands, through your feelings, through your emotions. You are bringing it here. where we are right now in this chaos, at home, at work, in traffic. Don't go to an anti-war protest and then cut people off and have like road rage and yell at your kids, right? It starts within. Coherence. Coherence, being heart-centered, treating yourself with kindness, treating others with kindness, having everything in line, what you think, what you feel, what you say in your actions, your coherence. And another thing I heard, the way of the future was along like old system, new system. Old system was, if I do A and B, then C happens. In the new world, new systems, if I become coherent, B becomes visible. When I heard that, I was like, what? Be coherent, be loving, be kind. Everything is coherent. And then the solutions appear before you. It's not as certain in path and something that you can predict 5 years ahead. It's sort of a resonance of knowing where to go, following your intuition, being kind and loving, and the path appears before you. So in practical terms, be easy on yourself. Make sure you drink water. You can actually bless the water before you drink it, send some love in it. There's consciousness in water, okay? So drink water. Go outside. The frequency and the energy that is more where we're going is in nature. You'll find it in trees, grass, the creatures that are out there looking at the sun, being in nature, high frequency. You want to be in there, put your face in the sun. That's what you need right now. Again, we already talked about it. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, have quiet moments. Even if you're not a big meditator, just have quiet moments and have at least an intention of what you want for your day. It can be peace, love, kindness, calmness. Be the lighthouse, right? Your intention. Be authentic to yourself. Be yourself. Don't let yourself be carried away by the fear and the hate of others. You know who you are and you follow your authentic path and who you are, and follow your intuition. The fear is much louder than the compassion, okay? Both are contagious. That fear you're seeing is like a reaction, and like talk about it and it makes more things, and it's just like a vicious cycle. Compassion is also contagious. It's more quiet, following your heart, intuition, using compassion. It whispers. So you need more quiet moments to put in those intentions, okay, for the new world. So hopefully I explained a little bit of the back end of why you're feeling what you're feeling. Don't give up. This is sort of like the peak, and it's going to get a little bit worse, I think. It's just exposing the crap that's been there for many, many decades. It's just getting worse. It's so that you can see that puppet theater. Observe it like you're observing a puppet theater, not to say that you just take it. Put the intentions and put out there your powerful being, what the new earth is going to look like. I'm doing it. I'm being a lighthouse. You be a lighthouse. We're all a lighthouse. There's like an invisible grid connecting us at this time. And us, the powerful people, one at a time within our coherent lives, are going to change this. And that time is coming. So put your focus on good things. Watch more videos like this. I'm going to put more videos out there, meditations and things to help you. YouTube doesn't like these types of videos and they're not sending it to people. So if you thought this was helpful, if you could share, that would be much appreciated. I hope this was helpful. My name is Jose Lindsay. This is Heartful. Thank you so much for being here. Much love.